All right. Welcome to our Windows working group meeting. Thank you for coming, Daffyd.
No
See, I
problem.
just wanted to point out we've released since our last meeting 3006.7 and 3007.0, which is a STS release. And deprecated finally, to the great rejoicing of all of us here, 3005. The TMAP builds and all the classic packaging that we had to do. It was a lot of hands-on work, and it's good to see all that gone. Everything's all pipeline now, and we push a button and let some GitHub jobs run, and then we have a release. So it's good. Anyway, this is the PR for the great module migration, and I think the repo that they're going into. If that looks right, or maybe that's not what that is. I wonder what that is. Maybe this is the tool he's using to do it. Yeah, I think this is his tool. Yeah, so I think they're all going into Salt extensions, right? If there's anything created here. This might be it. No, that's for the working group. Well, I'm not sure where they're going. I can figure that out. And the PR, I think we're trying to get that merged soon. There's been enough time, and we need to get moving on this because it's kind of holding up. I know he wants to get this merged pretty soon. And I think he's addressed most of the issues with it. Looks like we got some conflicts. Oh, it's just requirements. Yeah. Those always change. Okay. I don't really have much else. I did find an issue last week with the package tests that we've been running. And when we moved them out of we used to have a directory under Salt package. The package directory used to have a tests directory, and that's where we ran the tests from. And then we moved those out of there into the PyTest directory, just to put all the tests in one place. But when we did that, there's some mechanisms in PyTests that only run tests that are whitelisted for Windows. So when that happened, none of the tests were actually running on Windows. Everything was just skipped. So all our package tests look great on Windows because it was all just being skipped. Nobody bothered looking at it. So I found that last week and got them whitelisted, got them running. So now we're actually testing our packages when we build Salt, the Windows packages. Other than that, been doing, see what else do I have on my oh man, that was something I wanted to bring up. I looked at VC Redist. It's something that we bundle with our Salt installer, as well as the Universal C runtimes. The Universal C runtimes were required for Windows 8, Windows Server 2012. Now that those are end of life, I removed those. The VC Redist is a version 2013 is the one we bundle. And that is end of life apparently next month. So I tried removing it just to see if Salt would run without it. And it ran just fine without VC Redist. I think it was a holdover from what I could read in some of Marcus's notes in the MSI module, the MSI builder. that was required for M2 crypto and OpenSSL. But I think it was an older version of OpenSSL at the time that we were using. We've since changed our crypt libraries to not use M2 crypto. We fall back on cryptography, I think, now. And M2 crypto doesn't provide wheels for Windows anymore. It's really complicated to build. So I've submitted a PR to remove those. So it'll make the installer a little smaller, and other than that, I just don't think we need it. And somebody brought it up that, hey, this is sunsetting next month. Are we going to upgrade it? And so I just looked to see if we really needed it. I don't think we do. I created a package without it. I installed it. It ran salt call. I connected it to a master. I was able to run commands on it. So I think, unless I've missed some edge case, I don't think we need it. I think I would have hit the bug, because it wouldn't even start when it wasn't there before, when we were using M2 crypto. So I think it's good. Did you have any concerns or thoughts on it?
Well, only that things continue to work, I guess.
True. I spun up a vanilla Windows 10 with nothing installed on it, brand new install, and it installed and ran without the VC Redist.
Okay.
So
if I understand correctly, with this new pipeline that you have, it builds an installer for each push or each PR, and then you're running the test on that. So surely that would also catch any problems with that. I'm assuming.
yeah, so see, here's a PR I'm working on right now. It's to fix the Win user add module. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, it does a few things, but part of the tests here, it builds. Oh dang, I just relaunched it, so I just pushed some changes to it. Let's see, there's a way to look at past runs here. Okay, so part of the, oh, that's ugly. Why is that so ugly? Maybe I can go here. Okay, yeah, this looks nicer to me. Okay, so it builds the packages here, and then it goes and tests them. And I have a bunch of failing tests here on Windows with this. I broke the helper somehow. There's a helper that tries to create a user, and it's dying testing if the user name is in the list of users, and it should have. It creates it here. It checks for output, whereas it actually needs to check if that is true. That's what my push was, to see if that's actually true, because this was comparing what it returned in list users. Right here, set password was the username could not be found. So even though it thinks it set this, it says something else in here. It probably has a string or something, or an error. So it needs to actually check. So I'm trying to see what's going on. Anyway, something I did seems to have broken this, so it's not actually creating user in the helper for the test. But that's just to point out that we are testing all these package tests. We test the Nullsoft installer, and we test the MSI. We need to add some more of these tests to the MSI installer. The reason a lot of this wouldn't work is we couldn't, the MSI installer wouldn't uninstall the old one. So a lot of these take the classic package and then upgrade it, and then upgrade from 3006.7 to this, and then upgrade from, you know what I mean? We're trying to upgrading and downgrading from different versions. And the MSI leaves some locked files, or maybe it's still running. I mean, I haven't been able to dig in, but it doesn't let us run these other tests.
Okay. But so that is testing the sort of the packaging itself, but do all the other tests not run?
It doesn't run the test suite. No, it's not running the test suite. It runs, there are a series of tests that it runs. So we'll look at this Mac one as an example. So it runs, so the package tests are, make sure we can download the package, check importing things, 0MQ, enabling, disabling. I think it's the Salt service, running help. It does some pip installs. It does a few simple things that you need to be able to do with Salt. I don't know. I don't know what they all are. Test Python script. I don't know what that does. But they're all in go over into tests. PyTests, and then package. This is the test we're running, and it's under integration. These are the tests that we run. Let's just do some states, set some pillar, but see, this is more the test I think that you're thinking of, because it actually spins up a master and a minion, and it runs a state.
Yeah, I was under the impression that was using a built artifact.
This is.
Yeah.
These ones are.
They are, right.
But it's not the whole test suite, right? It's just a small subset of tests.
Right, I see. Okay.
The idea is to, eventually have us running the whole test suite.
Oh, okay.
From our
so
package,
it's an aspiration and not there yet.
Right. And it's pushed down on the list now that we are much smaller.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. That was all I had on that. You brought something up that you wanted to look at, this renovate. You wanted to add this to the.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was asking how difficult, or troublesome or whatever would it be to install this app on Saltwind repo, and I can sort of tell you why. So this is something I've come across over the last couple of months, or been using and learning about, and it's a tool to basically keep all sorts of version numbers in text files up to date. And so it's similar to Dependabot, which is part of GitHub, but Dependabot seems to be just, you can't really configure it or anything like that, or expand it. So it's sort of a third-party version of that, and it's very configurable, very customizable. And an example of some of the things it does is, if you look in Saltwind repo, and if you look at some of the PRs I've put in on the workflow files, in the workflows directory. Yeah, just look at some of the recent changes on one of these files. Those PRs were generated in my fork of SaltWind repo. So I didn't manually make this change, and you can configure this renovate to, yeah, an example is not only it will look for a new version of a GitHub action as an example, but also it will pin the hash of it. So that you're pulling not just from a tag, but from the hash of that tag as it was when you set it up. But that's just an implementation sort of detail. The interesting thing is that it automatically does all of these updates for you. And it's something that I've come across in the last couple of months.
Are you thinking we could use it to keep the other, like
Well,
the package?
Right. So when I asked
Package is
you,
up to date.
right. Well, when I asked you, can we have a look at this, or can we set this up? That's not what I was specifically getting at. It was more to do with keeping our sort of dependencies up to date. So, for example, the requirements file for the test code and the GitHub actions. However, since having thought about it, it is actually possible that we could use it to automate the updating of package versions, because Renovate offers a regular expression sort of customization. So you can configure it to find all sorts of use all sorts of different sources for versions, and you can configure how the sort of template of where the version is in the file. And so particularly with our sort of YAML, import YAML style, it would be very easy to make that a pattern or a regex.
Yeah, no, okay. We wouldn't have to standardize our package files.
We would, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
But
some use a versions, some use a
well,
some don't have that at all. They just put it down here.
I'll show you an example. If you go to, if I can,
this would be easy.
Yeah, and basically you just put a comment. Because these are custom, you would set up a comment in the YAML, and you basically provide some values for what Renovate can use as a data source and the package name. So it would be like hash symbol space renovate : and then you would say data source GitHub tags. So it would look up all of the tags on a repository, and then you would say, well, the repository is saltstack/salt, and then every hour it would look to see if there's a new version, a new tag of a new version, and then it would create a PR on the repo, and then either you manually merge the PR. I mean, you can even configure it to auto merge, but I'm still sort of getting more familiar with that. I mean, you'd obviously want comprehensive tests before you auto merge anything, but it would certainly ease the burden of
this would fix another issue we're having. Like one of the steps we do on our build is to auto generate a PR that updates this file. Adds it to the list.
That would go.
It doesn't. The bot doesn't have permission to create a PR, to open a PR. That means we would we have to have a bot for this, or the job would do it? It would do it as part of the work GitHub action.
You install the a GitHub app, and in the process of installing it on a repo or an organization, you give it permissions. So you give it these permissions to create PRs and things like that.
And it would only do files that have that hash
Yes.
renovate.
I mean, as I say, it's very configurable, and you can disable a lot of what it can do. And
so as people bring new packages in or modify packages, we would make that a requirement that they
well,
add the renovate so that it would slowly
sort of improve the situation. I mean, the only comment I can make on that is not every package that in WinRepo has a GitHub repository, just as an example. So you would have to go a step further and sort of manually configure a data source, i.e., go to this website and look for this list of new releases or something like that. And that's actually an aspect of Renovate I haven't looked into, but I do know it's possible. But you would have to, I mean, this is, I guess we could go there in stages, but certainly there are things like somebody put a PR in just yesterday for Arduino IDE, and that is on GitHub, and it has GitHub tags. And so that would be a perfect example of one that would be very easy to automate.
He must have updated the stuff. I saw that you had asked him to make some changes.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Cool.
Are you happy with me? Like,
no, this is great. No, you're doing great.
Making some comments like that.
Absolutely. I haven't been that strict about telling people to use different conventions, but it is smart to standardize.
Yeah, I mean, in an ideal world, we would have some kind of automation around checking, or I guess you could say, linting that. But well, we're not there yet. Right. Linting the package files. But
well, good.
So
glad he got this in. Sometimes they dump it and then walk away, and you never hear from them
again. Yeah, I've seen that as well. I mean, so do you think it would be so administratively? Do you think it would be a hassle to get this app set up?
Does it cost? Is there a cost
No,
associated
it's
with
free.
it?
It's free.
Even though
if you look
it falls under the
second paragraph.
It falls under SaltStack, which is now supported by Broadcom. So we kind of now don't qualify for a lot of the free tier stuff. That's why we moved Salt extensions out of the SaltStack org.
Right.
So that
okay.
it could qualify. I just wonder if they're going to hit us with
that. If you look at the second paragraph.
Is there a plan that costs? Was this made by GitHub?
No, it's a company called Mend. I mean, look, I don't know the ins and outs of how they're making their money, but it seems to be free for everyone as far as I can tell. And in fact, I mean, there was something that came up in that the extensions working group around these kinds of updates of the copier templates. And I think it was Derek mentioned, oh yeah, Dependerbots could do something along those lines. But actually, this is what would make what he was talking about easier, because you can configure it much more.
Right. We are moving to using Poetry in Salt. That's supposed to, Pedro's been working on that instead of, what are we using? something to build the requirements. None of these. Might be just a pips dependency resolution. Anyway, yeah, no, let's try it. I'm willing to try it, to put it on there. Do you have permissions to do it, or do I have to have one of my SREs do it?
Well, I haven't tried, but you've got an install. What I would suggest to only install it on select repositories.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll hit
you
the
have to request it from somebody.
right. So I will do that, but we fall under some service. If I add a user, then it'll get wiped out and taken out the next time. They have something that runs, so I have to submit a request to Broadcom or VMware or somebody to add a
Okay,
person.
well,
I don't know if that applies to this or not. I'll try it. We'll see what happens. And if it's gone tomorrow, then we'll have to see about going through a different channel to get it added. Let me figure out my code here. Why aren't these in alphabetical order? Acting on my behalf. I agree to receive mend emails. I think that's the only one I have to do, right?
okay, I don't know what that was.
Mend developer platform.
I don't remember seeing that when I installed it myself.
There are no GitHub organizations connected to this account that have Mend developer platform installed. The organization has to have it. So that's Salt Stack has to have it. I don't even know where to go for this. That'd be under.
Right. I think this is just a
Is it something we need to put in the repo or?
No, I think this is a bug of setting up the app.
Oh, so we can ignore this, you think?
Well, I'm just looking. Somebody else has reported this sort of error, and it says that there's some kind of queue where they do periodic sync of every installation to catch any repos we missed during the previous day. So it could be a matter of what happens if you go back to that? If you go back to that Google search and there's a developer sort of portal that you can get into.
So there's the
It's
Mend platform.
developer.mend.io. Right, so I see. So this is the developer front end, and it looks like because the request hasn't been processed, it can't find any repos that are sort of you've signed up to, if you see what I mean.
Okay, so
So
there's going
this
to be
is an
some
account
job that
that's been,
runs.
yeah. Well, the request would have to be approved before anything.
And that's front by them. They'll approve it.
No, I mean,
Oh,
you know how you had to request the addition of the app to the repository, and presumably somebody else has to approve that request, someone in SaltStack or, sorry, in VMware or Broadcom.
okay.
Or integrations down there. What's GitHub apps at the bottom on the left? Right, so it's not there. Yeah, so presumably, yeah, that request has to be responded to by somebody.
Okay. So that now that we've done that, somebody's gonna approve it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Am I gonna get a nasty gram from somebody? Roughly. Yeah. Okay, so this doesn't create a user.
No.
It creates an integration, a GitHub app. Looks like we've
Yes.
added other ones. Okay, so if we've added these, I don't see why we couldn't. Do we use these anymore? I don't know what these are. Yeah, see, I can't even modify any of this. So okay. Well, I guess we'll wait to see on that. You want to Slack me or Discord me? Later?
Yeah, sure.
If it appears or something, or if it doesn't, and I'll Slack you or
Yeah,
Discord.
well, I would expect that, I guess you would hear something
Yeah.
back at some point.
See if I've gotten anything already. Third-party application has been added to your account. It's to my account. I've never done this before, so it's all new.
Okay, well, yeah, as long as it's not something that's going to get you into trouble.
No, I don't think so. I just maybe need to know. I need to know how to do it, what the right way. I wouldn't get in trouble for trying to do it. I'm not mining Bitcoin with with this or anything. But
something else we can discuss. I've been updating some of my custom GitHub actions, and one of the changes was to add, I don't know, in SaltWind repo, in the workflows, I don't know how familiar you are, but it gets a list of Salt versions, which I manually keep up to date. But I've changed the sort of API of that action to give more information, in the sense of it classifies certain updates as supported or in life support, extended life support or something, and then I want to add a release candidate to that list of versions. And so when that happens, we should be able to test, yes, in that refresh.
That one?
Yeah, this one. Now there's two categories there. So it gets versions which are in extended life support, and then the versions output is just the supported version. So currently that would be 3006.7 and 3007.0. But I intend to add one which would be the release candidate, or multiples thereof, and then that would be added to the list, the matrix of which versions we're testing, PRs on.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just sort of telling you out of to pass on the information, really, because obviously we don't have a release candidate at the moment.
No, we just released
Or a relevant
2007.
one. Yeah.
But
But
nobody was
I mean,
testing it. I don't think we got any feedback on the initial RC that we did release.
I mean, because there's a different way of, that's the problem. There's a different way of installing them for the release candidate. It's on a different domain and things like that. So I had to adapt my setup salt win action to be able to cope with release candidates, to know where to find the download.
Right. It's under, where is it?
It's repo
It's
dot
salt
and then it's
dash
salt
RC,
underscore
right?
RC. Yeah.
Is it underscore RC?
Underscore, yeah.
I thought it was dash. Huh.
I'm pretty sure it's underscore, but if you can go to the top level directory.
I think it takes me to here. Huh. Well, anyway, I don't know why that. Oh, because it's salt. Okay, I was doing the wrong thing. That's why. So that's where we put the RCs.
Does the Bootstrap install RCs? Because if it doesn't, that's a big blocker.
True. I don't think it does. I don't think
Yeah, so I mean that's why people don't test them. In my opinion, I should say.
At least I think the regular one does. I don't know that the Windows one does.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Windows one doesn't. I don't believe that the regular one does either.
Oh, really? I thought it.
The shell script. Well, I might be wrong.
I assume because it does everything else under the sun. I mean, I think it's this one. Which one do they do? Well, that one hasn't been updated in 11 years.
It's Bootstrap dash salt dot sh. Yeah.
It's just color.
Okay, so it does something. Oh no, but that is
Or
Wonder. Wouldn't it be the zip file or the tar file?
Yeah, I don't know. Stable branch testing. I don't know. I don't know. This
Okay,
thing is like
it does
10.
it does do something with the
Guess I could look for Salt RC. Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means though. Is that installing the RELN versions? I don't know. Or does it work with the
I
TMUP
think it
only?
right. I think it installs whatever is in that repository. Because it's a mirror of the regular structure, I guess. But by the looks of it, the script has not been updated with the valid version numbers of RCs.
Right. But if it's reading the repo.json, I think that gets bumped into latest or into that. It might be reading it out of the repo.json. I don't know. But in this one, the Windows one, we don't go there at all. Yeah. But technically, you could pass the URL to it.
Okay.
And do it. Python version doesn't support prior to that. But I don't know if it would support RC. Maybe latest would do it. This might actually work because I think it also parses that repo.json file. Let's see. Yeah, so this reads the repo.json and gets it out of there. So if it finds unless it fails this version check, or is it getting major version? I think it tries to parse major version. Oh, that's handy, these little things over here. So it splits off. Okay, it should work actually. I don't know. I haven't tried it with an RC, but it does take a little more work. Maybe when we release an RC, we should have a little help how to run the Bootstrap script to install the RC.
I agree.
I know that they do update the install guide. I'm just curious to what it has in there now. Now that wonder what they had for the RC on Windows. Oh, this is a quick start. This is different.
If you go on that left-hand menu, if you go to other installation types. No, you missed it.
I go too far.
Install Salt. Yeah, next one down. Install a release candidate.
There we go. Man, you know this stuff better than I do. It's great. No Windows. but they do show you how to do it with the regular one. So we need to add some Windows steps in here. Okay, let me add that to my to-do here. That URL in here. Cool. I'll look at see if we can get a Windows tab in here,
That would be
a
helpful.
Windows section similar to that quick start. So like we have a, yeah, something like this. Cool. That is, thank you.
No problem.
But that, does that help your GitHub action, or does that?
Well,
Well, we were talking, we got
not really,
distracted
because
talking about RCs.
In my GitHub action, I do the installation manually, not manually, but without using the Bootstrap script. So I just worked it out for myself. But that's why I knew where the documentation was, because I'd been reading it recently. Because I was aware of, there was that missing dependency in 3007.
Right, the XML to
Git
dict.
Python.
Git Python.
No, the other one, yeah.
I do have a PR in for that, by the way. Right here, I'll just put that in the link. Why would it? Yeah, I can paste that in the chat too. You want to see it, but
So the number corresponding with it, like
I think it's green.
988?
He has passing tests. Yeah, and I pushed it to the core team to see if they would merge it. Just waiting to hear on it. Anyway, that's all.
Right.
Was there anything on the GitHub action that you were wanting to talk about? I'm not sure we finished there. You want to be able to detect
well, I was
versions.
I was saying that I have updated the actions that I have created myself, which install versions of Salt on the Windows runners. I was just saying that I've added an option to install the release candidate, and so when the next one comes up, I intend to set that so that in SaltWin repo, the tests run on the release candidate as well as the supported versions. The only issue I can foresee with that is if there's a breakage with the release candidate. I mean, obviously it's good that we know, but it will
cause the test to fail.
Yeah, cause the test to fail, exactly. So,
and it won't be a fault of the PR or
and
whatever.
it won't be exactly, yeah. It would, yeah, you're exactly right. Now, in GitHub Actions, you can set up a test to allow failure or something along those lines, but I read up that it doesn't. The PR section still flags it up as a failed test, even though the workflows continue. So that's something.
You'd want to see it, but it would allow you to still merge it, right?
I'm only going on what I've read, but I've read that this is sort of something that people have complained about, that it actually prevents that. If you have, if on the repo the checks must pass, then that would fail, I believe. But I'm not sure if that's true on Saltwind repo.
Yeah, I think we have. Well, we have it,
It's on pre-commit, I think.
but we also have, like, this has some failures. All those, but I can do that number, you know.
Right. Okay.
We can still get stuff in. And I don't
Okay,
know. I
well-
think I don't know if you have permissions for that or not, but I can try to get that added to you on WinRepo.
Well, how about we sort of wait until this arises, and when
Okay.
if and when there's a next release candidate, we'll sort of take it further then.
Okay. All right. So that'll be 3008 before we can test it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, well, is 3008 coming out in April, or is it pushed back for like 3 months or something? Or
I
longer?
don't know. I don't know when it's coming out. We just released 3007. I mean, ideally there's 6 months, but I know they are fast tracking it. I doubt it'll be in April. Our deadlines have really gone to crap.
Okay, well,
Since the
we'll just
takeover.
wait. Yeah, okay, we'll just wait and see what happens with that then. I don't think it's a big deal,
Okay.
but it's something, you know, it will help with testing of new releases, basically. If we can give these things a wider exposure.
Yes. Okay, cool. Well, I think we're about at time. We got the open hour starting now. So if there's nothing else, thank you for coming
No problem.
as usual. Appreciate you sending
Yeah,
those
good to-
those Slack messages out. I forget to do it, and it's a team effort.
Yeah, no problem. I've got it in my calendar now, so that's how I do it.
Cool.
Okay,
All right,
yeah,
Duffy.
well, speak to you next month, but also, yeah, I'll attend the open hour as well.
Okay.
So I'll see you in a few minutes.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you. I'll get your name
Okay.
spelled right. I got 2 D's in there instead of 1. I apologize.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. All right. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, see you then.
Bye.
Bye.